Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys making some time out of your busy schedules to watch the video here and spend some time with me. I always appreciate that. And guys, today I want to share with you a conversation I had with one of my buddies that fished the Bass Pro Tour that just got done with the Bass Pro Tour event on the St. Lawrence River last week. And guys, after talking to him, I was really shocked and disturbed about what he told me about what's going on at the St. Lawrence River. And we're going to get into that in today's video, especially in light of the fact that the Bassmaster Elite Series tournament's up there next week. So we're going to get into that in today's video. Also, guys, before we get started, a quick reminder about checking out our Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns. We got our summer maps, we got our fall maps up on the site right now. These are maps I built for Fish the Moment, and if you guys are interested in checking them out, it's a really good resource about getting more in tune with the lake you fish a lot across the country, or if you've never been to a lake and you want some good spots, this is a really good resource to get you started and pointed in the right direction. So I'll put my Fish the Moment lake map breakdown link in the description of the video. Really appreciate that. Okay guys, my buddy called me today. Actually, I talked to him, and he had been just got done fishing the Bass Pro Tour event up there at the St. Lawrence River. And he was upset and he was disturbed because he said, Randy, he goes, and this, my friend of mine, he has fished the St. Lawrence extensively over the past decade, pretty much every year, because he's got a lot of experience on the St. Lawrence. So he has seen the progression of what has happened to the fishery up there. And he was talking about how the precipitous, disturbing decline in the quality of fishing that he has noticed over the past 10 years up there, specifically the last couple years. And you know, I contribute that to forward-facing sonar, which we'll get into a little bit here. But don't get me wrong, St. Lawrence is still a phenomenal fishery, but it's a shadow of what it used to be in terms of being able to catch big numbers of fish, bigger fish. And when you have a pro of this caliber, of my buddy telling me this, I take notice of it when he says that. And one of the things that was disturbed him as much about it, and I've known this for years, is the amount of fish that are dying up there, the big smallmouth that are dying in those northern events. Because what happens is when you catch those bass out of deep water, which a lot of those fish at the St. Lawrence, they come out of deeper water in that current on drop shots and Ned rigs and fish in the bottom, they suffer barotrauma issues. And barotrauma issues will damage a bass's internal organs, it damages their eyes. So many of those fish that were caught up there, my buddy was talking about, you know, they were upside down and they had to fizz them. And the thing about fizzing bass is people kill a ton of bass fizzing them. And even my buddy said that he killed almost all of his fish in one tournament trying to fizz them, even though he thought he knew how to do it. If you don't hit just the precise area, the bass isn't going to survive. And what happens is even when the tournament officials will fizz a bass, and, you know, in a tournament that doesn't have the automatic release like the MLF does, they will, if they're in a live release boat and they fizz them and they start swimming down to the bottom, most of those fish die. It will allow them to get to the bottom, but they don't survive it. And he was saying, and I've heard this from a lot of different St. Lawrence River veterans, is that the majority of the bass that are caught in deeper water on the St. Lawrence River die. Those big, ancient smallmouth, those big 4 and 5 pound, 6 pound smallmouth that are a decade old. And my buddy was telling me that he estimated that even though at the MLF tournament they had, they weigh it and put the fish right back in, he still felt that 50% of the bass, the smallmouth, died in that tournament. And it's even going to be more next week at the Bassmaster tournament after those guys haul them around in live wells and beat them up in that rough water all week long. It's going to be a fish kill of epic proportions out there. Now, here's the thing about it. If you guys have ever been to a weigh-in and watched how they count a live fish, and because this is a real gray area, you know, there's a 4 ounce penalty in most tournaments for a dead fish. And I've been to a lot of tournaments, guys. And what they do is when you put your fish, you know, in the bin there to be measured and they check them if they're alive or not, if there's a fish there that has glassy eyes and maybe his gills are not bright red and he's barely moving, they count that fish as alive. But there's a 100% chance that fish is going to die once it gets down to the live release boat. But they still count it alive because technically it is alive. And I don't think that Bassmaster or any organizations, they don't want to have their percentage of live release degraded because that reflects poorly on them. But guys, I have seen it, and I'm telling you this, not just now, I've seen it for years and years and years. There is at least, and it depends on the time of year, obviously, but there's at least 25% of the bass that they count as being live that will not make it. They will die as soon as they get to that live release boat, and they'll go into some cooler. So the point of the matter is I don't think tournament organizations, I don't think that they maliciously want to do this. They have a vested interest in seeing those bass release live. So I'm not saying that they don't care, but the point of the matter is they are not doing everything that can be done to fix this problem. This problem, make no mistake about it, it is exasperated and it is multiplied 10 times with the advancement of forward-facing sonar, because when you have all these bass that are taking traditionally deeper with forward-facing sonar, those are the bass that are very, very susceptible to dying from barotrauma issues. And since the majority of people, are fishing, with, the cheater box now with forward-facing sonar, that's why you're going to see a big fish kill next week. That's why you saw a big fish kill last week, probably. Just the nature of it. Now, it wasn't really like that, because 20 years ago when we fished up at the St. Lawrence River or Lake Champlain, everybody was up in 5 and 10 foot of water burning spinner baits and fishing jerk baits for smallmouth, and these fish, they weren't dying of barotrauma issues because they were living in shallow water. But as that technology put anglers out there into the areas that are deep water sanctuaries for those big smallmouth bass, they're taking them out of those deep water sanctuaries and they're dying. And I could tell my buddy is one. He's one of those anglers that doesn't like to make waves. But he was basically telling me that he wanted me to talk about it because he was upset. I mean, he's a conservationist, a friend of mine, and he's a veteran, highly respected in the sport, and he is very upset about what is happening to the St. Lawrence River, Champlain, all those type of places. And what happens is that people don't see that because they still see these really good big weights up there, and those fisheries are still good, but we're talking about the decline in those fisheries that occur over periods of time and will continue to occur as you have more fishing pressure, as you have more locals using forward-facing sonar, as you have more tournament pressure. Each year the fishing is getting a little bit tougher, a little bit tougher, a little bit tougher, and at what point does it get to the point where we just say, what the heck are we doing here? So what can you do about it? Here's the thing about it. The first thing you do about it is get rid of forward-facing sonar, because that is going to put everybody fishing shallower water. Not everybody, because there's still going to be guys out there using 2D sonar fishing deeper. But when you don't have the ability to target fish in live imaging, that brings in shallow water options more of a viable technique. The next thing you do is you don't have tournaments during the time of the year when those fish are weak. Those smallmouth up there, a lot of those smallmouth probably spawned, a month ago or something. A lot of them are still recuperating from that spawning process. They're weaker. And of course, the water temperatures are warmer. So anytime that you have a tournament in the summertime, I don't care if it's a largemouth or a smallmouth, you're going to put added strain on that particular fishery and the fish. I've always said it ever since I've been talking here. We don't need to have any bass tournaments during the spawn. We don't need to have any bass tournaments during the summertime of the year. Those are the time when we have the greatest numbers of fish mortality. We need to start fishing in the cold weather months. Instead of having these tournaments in late May, June, July, and August, and September like Bassmaster does, have them in November, December, January, February. Water temperatures are cooler. Those fish are going to survive a lot better off, in that cooler water. It's going to open up more shallow water patterns. But it seems like a lot of times that the tournament organizations do not put conservation as a priority, just simply because of their actions. They could rearrange the schedule where we did not have, the amount of dead fish that occur from delayed mortality. And this is the big sort of the dark side and dark secret of tournament fishing, is this whole concept of, tournament organizations will say, we have a 99% or a 97 or 98% live release rate. That's a bunch of crap, guys. That's an inflated figure based upon seeing a fin move like that and calling it alive, and then it dies in the live release boat, 10 minutes later. It's more like 50%. I think most tournaments, unless they're held in the winter time of the year, I think you have about a 50% live release rate on those fish. Maybe sometimes less if it's a big forward-facing sonar tournament. So anyway, I just wanted to pass that along with you guys. You know, I feel sorry for those smallmouth that are going to fixing to die next week at the Bassmaster Elite Series on the St. Lawrence River, because a bunch of them are going to die up there. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think the solution to the problem is? And we'll talk later. See you guys.